Hello viewers and welcome back. So today we're driving at Miami. This is one of the Formula One circuits that they commonly have raced in the last couple years. So it's a very well-known circuit, and this will be our first time racing in the GT3 class in iRacing. So this will be exciting to see how it fares to other simulators, and we will be driving the Aston Martins. It's personally one of my favorites, and I know people will kind of poo-poo on this car because it's, considered a beginner car, but I have a sweet spot for it, just the way it sounds and the way it drives, and I love the gear changes on this car. Absolutely love it. So without further ado, let's get right to the action, folks. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Alrighty folks, and here we go. So we had, this is very different compared to my other videos in the past. We actually do an out lap, a little warm-up lap, and then begin the race off a rolling start. Traditionally in the past, it's just been a standing start, no warm-up lap or anything, or maybe it simulates a warm-up lap. I'm not really sure. But as we can see there, right off the get-go, we have someone spin out, and we move up into P14. We qualified in P15. We had an opportunity to warm up the tires a little bit, but we still got to be just a little bit cautious on this lap. And we're right behind Marquise Jr. and Rojas. Now this corner here, I'm taking it really easy, but I struggled with this corner, and not necessarily because of the corner itself, but when I'm driving in this car, just that little, the part of the frame there on the left, just on the car, it blocks the view. And as we can see, we have contact here, so we're going over to the right, and then we avoid the Ferrari on the left as he had to slow down. Then we moved up into P9, so that was a great incident to happen. We gained a lot of positions, 5 positions to be precise. And now we're right behind Bobby here. Now this part of the track, it's tricky. If you get it exactly right, you can make up a lot of time, but if you get it wrong, it can really slow you down, and the back markers will catch up to you. You can see in our rearview mirrors there, we ended up passing Bobby, but there was a contact between Marquise and Crispin, and one of them got pushed into the wall, so they're going to have some pretty severe damage. But we got past Bobby for the meantime, and now we are in P8. Now we have quite a large gap between us and Matthias. Matthias, I believe that's how you say his name. Excuse me. Hope I didn't butcher that. But the first lap is complete. Our tires should be warmer, and we should be much more comfortable to push in this car. This car being front-wheel drive and also being GT3s and a lot more aero, the force feedback felt very different compared to the Porsche Cup and the MX-5. A lot more force than I was anticipating. But, it felt good. I liked having a little bit more strength in the force feedback system. So, Miami is notoriously known, right in Sector 1, you have a lot of these sweeping S corners, and that took me a little bit to get used to in this car and to get comfortable, and eventually we develop a sense of feel for that. But now we're coming down the back main straightaway here, and it has a couple little small corners here, but it's flat out. It's might as well be a straightaway. And as we look in here, we're looking at the boards there on the left, and right about that 150 meter board is where I tried to brake here, but I was finding that was just a little too late. So maybe just before the 150, and I actually think I braked after the 150 meter board, so had to make an adjustment next lap. So here you kind of almost want to cut the corners there. It's ideal, and it helps you get a better exit. Same thing coming out that last corner into this other straightaway on the track. If you go too wide, you really slow your lap times down, and you're unable to get the amount of speed that you would like. Now, we're like 5 seconds behind Matthias. I hope I'm saying your name correct, sir. I am very sorry. Going to be really challenging to catch up to them at this point, as we're still just getting comfortable with the car. But like I said, I understand the layout of this track because I've driven it in Formula One games in the past, so not a complete stranger by any means. Now Bobby is right behind us, so we're posting our first official lap times. So we posted a 158.6, and Bobby got a 158.4. Now everyone in, looks like in the top 3 positions, with the exception of Harris, I guess, Harrison, they're posting under 158, 157.5, 157.6. So you can see here, Gary Rice spins out, and I completely butchered that corner. I think I just got really caught up in seeing that and getting excited, like, ooh, a free position, and just completely lost my focus. So now we dropped 2 positions, or I should say 1 position. We could have been up another position, but Bobby was going to capitalize on my mistake and Gary's mistake, and now we are back into P9. So it's going to be pretty close racing from here on out amongst the 4 of us here, Crispin, Gary, Bobby, and myself. So I tried to make a move on the inside here. I completely butchered my braking line there, and I bumped into Gary a little bit, which I do apologize. I did not mean to dive bomb and hit you there, my friend. But we get up in a position, and luckily he kind of like backed out and let it happen. Not intentional on my part. So now we're going to try to regain this position back from Bobby and make another improvement, you know, back into P7. Well, I guess we weren't in P7, but move up to P7 because we were in P8 prior. Down the long straight, you really want to maintain in the slipstream on this track. It is pretty prevalent given that there's 2 really long straightaways. So as long as you can nail the sector 1 especially, and then coming out of those tight corners in the end of sector 2, and just starting to get into sector 3, it's quite crucial, because if you can't maintain pace and stay within the slipstream, it could make it really hard to catch up to your benchmarkers. So going into the S's here, we go into turn 3 here. It's a wide sweeping right-hander, and then you want to hug it over to the right. And you can brake a lot later than you can think you can. Hug that wall there on the left, pitch it back into the right, kind of cut across the corner there. You're able to. And this corner is a little tricky, once I said. You want to keep it out wide and then pitch it in later so that you hit that apex and you get as much speed as you possibly can going to this back straight. And again, the challenge for me, like I said, was the obstruction of my view there, just from the frame of the car on the left. Visibility in this car it's okay, but it's not the best, per se, compared to the Porsche Cup car. But we're still within Bobby's slipstream. We're close. As long as we can maintain consistent here into Sector 2, we should be okay. So in this corner, you blip it down the first gear. You want to cut those corners there. Make sure you don't hold the throttle too much. Just give it enough gas to where you can get to your point where you're braking and pitching it in. Cut that corner and then get back on the throttle as soon as you can. And we're not super close to Bobby, but we're getting just a tiny bit of slipstream more than likely. Probably not much to make a difference, but you know, any little bit counts. But our gap to the top 6 is still quite large, 5.5 seconds or more than 5.5 seconds. Those guys just have the pace, and we're still trying to find ours. I was hoping, my ultimate goal here was to get a lap time in the 157s, just under 158 within this session. It was possible, but we're dwindling on those opportunities as we're already 9 minutes into this race. So we're only going to have, 3 laps left to make improvements and find out what we're going to do. So we're starting to grow a little bit of gap between Crispin and Gary. They've been battling each other and more than likely making mistakes on their ends. And we're trying to push it just a little bit more, but we maybe brake just a little too late. We missed our line, and that's going to allow Crispin to get closer to us and have a stronger slipstream on this back straight, which is going to present a large problem for us. Because by the time he is on right there, neck and neck with us, he's going to try to make a move. Now, my logic at this point, I'm just going to hold the inside here and try to make it difficult for him to get an optimal line into this corner. Not too terrible of a braking point, but it makes it difficult on him. I maintain the inside, which is what I wanted going into this corner, and we're able to block him, so that he had to back out there, as you can see in our rearview mirror, and now we can focus on getting a better exit. But he is still right there. He's still going to be on the slipstream on this straightaway, and Bobby is slowly building his gap to us. So we're not in a very good position at this point. We're going to have to defend going into this next lap against Crispin. So he's going to make a move here on the inside, getting our slipstream on the side draft. We're going to brake. He's going to take the inside, so we're going to have to give him a little bit of space. I'm looking for the switch back here because he takes a really deep dive and get back into his slipstream, but he gets a lot more speed with his racing line, and he's going to pull away from us a little bit. So now we have to worry about Gary behind us. We're back into P9, and we have 2 more laps to make something happen. So I just wanted to follow Crispin, and he had a 157 pace, and try to learn what I could from him. I mean, we're in completely different cars, but the GT3 Castles, their performance is homologated, so that performance levels are similar. I mean, all these cars do have their strengths and weaknesses without a doubt, but they're pretty darn similar. Just they go about it in different ways, and some people have a higher affinity to cars or certain cars over others, depending upon their driving style. Now, they're growing their gap, and we did make an improvement in our lap time. We're at a 158.2, but now Gary is looking to make a move here on the inside coming into this corner, but he brakes pretty late, actually. I was thinking he was going to make a move on the inside there, which he didn't. I was completely surprised. But now we're not too far away from Crispin and Bobby. They are going to be battling here shortly, so that could help slow them down and present an opportunity for us to gain a position or two. Now, us as a group collectively, we are slowly making progress and catching up to P6. The gap has come down by almost 2 seconds, so they're only like 4.25 seconds away. They're not too terrible. But Crispin makes a pretty good leap out of that corner, and the gap is quite large. We are definitely not within the slipstream at this point. So trying to make sure I have a really good corner, and we're going into the last lap here. So we're going to have to defend and watch out for Gary coming in to these S's in Sector 1. Now we had the new fastest lap, and God, we were so close to our goal. We were basically a 158 flat, just a hair over 158. Making improvements, getting more comfortable with the way the car feels. I don't know if the Aston is necessarily the fastest car on this track, but without a doubt, there's, the bottleneck is me and my driving ability, just being comfortable with the car once again. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a sucker for the Aston GT3. It just sounds like a grizzly bear. I love the way it sounds. It just sounds like a deep roar, a muscle car almost. And I love the gear changes. They're mechanical. They make you feel alive almost. It's something unique that a lot of the other cars don't really have, and I'm just a sucker for it. So as you can see, Bobby has to defend against Crispin here on the inside at the end of the straight. And they're going to be battling out here a little bit as we only have 2 more laps left. So they're neck and neck there. And Crispin's going to have the slipstream going into the straight. So he's probably going to make a move on the inside, at the end there. Now they're side by side, so he's going to be looking to get the side draft. And I believe that Ferrari has more straight line speed than the Porsche. I could be wrong, but now we have to worry about Gary. Gary is in our slipstream, and he's on the side draft now, going to make a move on the inside. So we're going to have to figure out what the heck we're going to do as he's ahead of us now. So we brake a little early. Again, we have to be mindful of him, give him the space, and he's going to get ahead of us out of the corner. That Ferrari is going to be much better at getting in the car rotated in those slower speed corners compared to the Aston. Just those mid-engine layouts are much more balanced, and the Ferrari, I think, just has an overall better chassis, if I'm being completely honest. That 296 is just a beast of a car. It is a car that I do own, but I just haven't driven it yet. So, once again, this is the final lap, and it's going to be crucial to make sure that we nail these S's together so that we can stay within Gary's slipstream, which we are. We are right there. We didn't have the best exit coming into this corner, but as long as our exit is solid here, we should be okay, which it is. We are going to be within the slipstream, so we'll be able to remain competitive ultimately. So just take a moment to breathe, gather ourselves, and we got to hope we get a little bit lucky. You know, maybe we can move up a position or two. It's not looking too good for us. It's looking a little bleak. So we're braking at our 150-meter board mark, and we kind of messed that corner up. Really bad trail braking. Keeping it nice and tidy through here. Pitch it in, hit that corner, let it go out to the right, brake early enough. We didn't cut the corner enough like I would like, but not too bad on that second corner. Hit that corner just right over the apex, and now Gary is right on Bobby's tail. Now they're definitely pulling away from us at this point, and unless they wreck, there's just absolutely no way we are going to move up a position. It's just going to be impossible for us at this point. So maybe we get lucky. Bobby looks to defend, and Gary is on the outside, so now they're just going to be racing side by side to see who gets P8 and who gets P9, and ultimately it is going to be Bobby who gets P8, and Gary is going to have to settle with P9. And we got P10. That's what we had to settle with, but not a bad outcome. First race in the GT3s and in this car, so we'll take it. You know, I'm not going to complain. So there you have it, folks. We finished in the top 10, at least, in our first race in GT3 in the Aston Martin at Miami. Like the track a lot. I don't enjoy it as much when I'm racing Formula 1, but I really enjoy it in sport cars. I don't know why. I think it just flows a little bit better personally. You know, it's funny. It's really tough getting a podium or even just a pole position. I'm finding in just any simulator. You know, realistically, I'm sure even the top drivers out there in the world getting a pole position, like if you can do that like 10% of the time, that's probably astounding, honestly. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for tuning in, and if you did like the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day. Take care. We'll see you next time.